Bring it in, boys. Bring it in. Easy on me. Easy on me. 1, 2, 3. Easy. Oh, we're not going to continue that trend.
I love that trend.
All right. Welcome to episode number
7.
God, you guys are smart.
7. I think we're at that.
Number 7. This will be our final episode for 2015. But get ready for 16 because we're going to bring it.
Yeah.
It's already been broken.
All right, I'm going to go out of the norm. So pay attention, audience. Instead of diving into our subjects, we're going to go straight into the quiz of death.
What?
Or what could be called, it's not really always end
not going with the script
fatality. Sometimes it could be grossness or some type of pain, but we're going to call it the quiz of death.
Bring the pen.
We have a taser on site. You want to show the audience our taser?
It's a flashlight
And
in case you're walking at night by yourself. And if someone comes along,
and we are going to quiz Mr. Chad Johansson on 3 retirement plan questions in the area of loans and distributions. So if you're a financial advisor out there, 1, you get to learn cool fun facts about loans and distributions. And 2, if Chad doesn't get them all right, we're going to find out
time in history Chad Johansson's been speechless.
what a taser feels like. Couple of things to clarify. I have decided that the tase will happen on bare skin to the oblique. Okay? All right. We'll get a little bit of assistance from Alyssa, our loan and distribution stud over there, as we go through this. But question number 1 is...
multiple choice.
wait, hold on. Does he have to
Can
drop
I use
trowel
Google?
right now while we're...
If he gets it wrong,
Drop
he's not
it
going to
anything.
drop trowel.
Well, not drop
okay?
trowel, but-
He's going to hit him on the oblique. Question number 1.
You know where the oblique point to?
Question
your
number
oblique?
1.
It's right
if,
there.
If you're trying to figure out if a plan has a loan provision, name 1 of 2 pieces or documents that you would find this to be true.
Thank you. You go to your adoption
Name
agreement.
the other
make
one.
sure that it has a provision in
And if
there.
not the adoption agreement, where might you look?
SPD?
There you go. Ding, 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 ding. Good, Alyssa? Got it right? Okay.
Number 1 down.
Number 2. These are teed up for you.
Thank God.
Number 2. What's the maximum amount someone can take as a loan? Pay attention,
Okay.
advisors.
50% of your vested account balance up to $50,000.
Very.
Yay!
Yay. And the third.
Those needed to be easy.
And the third and final question. Who was the 13th president? No. The third and final question. Name all 6 reasons that you can take a hardship.
I thought there were 7.
Can we tase them for that?
That's an
All 6.
automatic
And
answer.
Alyssa, you're going to...
Purchase of your primary residence.
Correct.
Medical expenses.
Correct.
Okay.
I'm feeling good for this one.
To avoid eviction.
Oh God!
He'll stand up. Void eviction.
Correct?
He's shaking.
I am too.
College education or higher tuition or higher
There
education.
you go.
Tuition.
More.
Two
I wish we
left.
had music playing right now. Like,
Yes, we-
really.
2 left.
Dum,
Brandon,
dum,
we're gonna
dum,
need that.
dum.
Oh God.
Editor, play
There's
the,
more that has
Jeopardy
to do with a
music now.
home. Fixing of your primary residence.
Whoa.
Repairing.
Very good.
Is that a synonym? Are we good with that?
By the way, I told them this would happen deeper into the show. I just
I
decided to
said
bring it out
that.
at the beginning.
I don't know. It's got to be something to do with medical expenses. I'm going with
It is.
to.
Funeral.
That does not stand up right now.
Funeral
Stand up,
expenses.
stand up.
Come on.
No, help from the audience doesn't count. For our audience, the 7th is funeral expenses. Chad did not get that right. Correct, Alyssa? No.
Correct. That is
What's the
sixth
protocol
one.
for how long I leave this
Just
line?
put it on
Come
there
on.
and zap them. I'm not. Did you do it?
No, I'm recording this.
Yeah,
Hold on.
Yes, he
It
did.
just didn't zap.
It didn't make a sound, but it frigging zapped.
No.
I think
Yes.
we need another one.
Yeah, we need to go again.
I didn't even hear it.
It wasn't
Okay.
as bad as I
Oh,
thought.
yeah.
it
Here's what I'll
was
do.
gonna
I'll start it
Yeah.
But
and
it,
Start it. Do it.
ah! Ah! Jeez. All right.
hold it
Okay,
on
that's
there.
enough.
All right.
Jeez.
gonna stay over
We
here.
might need a little editing to make that more climatic.
God, thank you for hitting me quick, though. I didn't have a whole lot of time to think about it.
All right. Now officially, I
You want
can
a beer?
welcome you to
Yes.
episode 7. How do we start all of our episodes?
With a
Taser
tase.
voice?
By introducing the beer of the episode. These were lined for a reason. Justin's Irish, so you get that one. Mark, you've got brown porter. I've got IPA. So the beer of the episode is Petaluma Hills. One of the folks watching this, one of our advisor partners, actually is part of the Petaluma Hills family, and it's up in Petaluma, close to Lagunitas. Got a nice tasting room there. The beer is fantastic, as these guys will be able to vouch for in a minute. So let's pop and let's taste.
I think my name is the coolest out of all your guys. It's Porter Luma.
I'm
That
glad
is
that
cool.
I'm
you
lying
have the
twine.
porter and I don't.
Yeah,
By the
JD,
way,
JD
I-
asked for the blonde.
True, like,
JD's like,
oh.
hey, can I have the blonde?
Why
I love that
Why
we're-
did I get boring order?
I love that we're tying this to one of our
Everybody else.
advisor partners.
Oh, I just got what was
And what
left.
else are we doing for the first time?
Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you, by the way.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very
very
much.
much.
Share the love, man.
Relax. Calm down.
We'll let Mark.
All right, and we've got new mugs.
For once.
Yes,
So
sir.
we're doing this pro style.
We've taken our medicine from folks.
And here we go. Episode 7, boys.
Thank you, Petaluma Hills.
2015.
Holy cow, this is dark.
Mark's got syrup.
Cheers it up. We also got these gifts, these mugs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you,
you, Tracy.
Hit me up, Mark. All right. Sure, our beers aren't in front of
I'm
us.
so happy there's a beard on my mug because I cannot physically grow a beard.
You look like
got
you
a
have a
good
little
one right now.
shadow, at least.
Yeah, it's been like 4 weeks since I shaved.
I'm glad that's out of the way because I can actually think now.
My beard continues to grow.
That was actually a pretty good move, JD.
I'm going for the homeless man look in case anyone's.
Yeah, I like the throwing him off his game and putting it right.
thank
Yeah,
you for
doing
that.
it off the bit. So now we go to the real fun stuff. We're going to start our first subject matter. And I thought it would be cool this time to talk about a real story from the road, from out there in our day-to-day. And I think it also has got a lot of valuable kind of context to it for our audience. So I was down in Southern California actually assisting Justin, and I got a call from a client of ours that had been a client for a while, and they told me that they got a communication from our client account manager here that they were top heavy and that they had to put in, get this, $45,000 of an employer contribution that they were not aware of. This is a very awkward conversation to have. I'm going to be totally honest with our audience, everyone here. They were upset. You know, they were mad at me. They felt as though we had let them down in some way. And so I thought this is a good conversation for our advisors, even our strategic partners out there, to understand top heavy and what a deep, vicious pitfall it can be in probably the number one bogey to watch out for in retirement plan design. What is it? It's when your key employees, not to be confused with your HCEs, kind of a different definition, but your key employees have 60% or more of the total plan assets. Now, I thought that this plan had gone over the limit in the course of a year. And here's the bummer of this is, as a TPA, when you gather census on a plan, you start to do your work. It's usually long after the end of the plan year. It could be in January, February, March. So you're letting the client know that something's happened that's already gone and there's nothing you can do about it. And I thought that maybe this plan in that year had gone over the 60%. Good news for me and for us, still the bad result for our client was they had been top heavy forever. It's just for the last umpteen years, even before they came to plan design, they had always made a profit sharing contribution. And unbeknownst to them, part of that calculation of that profit sharing was a top-heavy mandatory minimum contribution, which is 3%. But now they come to 2014, which is the plan year, and they say, we don't want to give a profit sharing anymore. And so they're thinking, we're not going to give a profit sharing. We come to them and say they have to because they're top-heavy. So it's a bit of a shocker. It's a big ticket, right? To throw that in for a small
Nothing
business.
with a safe harbor in the past or anything like that either.
They did not have a safe harbor. They do now, but they did not have a safe harbor. So another one I wanted for you guys to bring up, which I think is more valuable to our audience, is on a new plan.
Yeah.
You touch on a little bit of that.
Can we go back to that case?
Yeah,
just
sure.
To kind of wrap that up. So the determination was made that they had to give that contribution, and it was obviously taken care of. At that point, from our perspective as a TPA, what was our service back to them? It was to re-engage and tell them ways that they could thus create efficiencies around not having to go through that next year, right?
Yeah, so we put in a safe harbor match for them. But, they kind of got caught in the middle in terms of removing the profit sharing.
Well, and it's not as if we don't make it aware that plans are top heavy throughout each and every year, regardless of having safe harbor in place or not, because it's part of the annual testing, it's part of the disclosure. But more often than not, people don't pay attention to that
Well, yeah,
piece.
when you're not having to deal with it.
They got a notice every year that
It's-
said they were at
it's-
62%, this and that, but they don't know what that means. I want to clarify Mark's points just for our audience. When you put in the safe harbor, that automatically takes care of your top heavy, so you're golden there. But what I wanted you guys to talk about is a brand new plan, because that's where I think the industry
And this
gets caught
time
up.
of year, that's so important because so many groups are starting plans for the first time, and it is different. So again, the definition: 60% or more of the assets belonging to your key employees. If at the end of your first year, and for us, when we're setting up these plans, more often than not, when it's a new plan towards the end of a tax year, they're doing it for tax efficiency. They're funding significant dollars to ownership.
Right.
And making it tax efficient. Therefore, the plan by default is going to be top heavy.
They're trying to get money into the pockets of the big dogs.
Yeah, and so if you have more than 60% in that first year, you're deemed top heavy. The catch is in the first year, you're subject to that 3% minimum now in the current year and in the following year. So for 2 consecutive years, the first year of the plan and the next. So you guys got some creative ways of accomplishing making sure that they're giving at least the 3% or adding safe harbor next year, right?
What I don't want for advisors or partners is they walk into a prospect, the prospect says, I do not want to give an employer contribution. I want to set up a salary deferral only plan. And you say, or they say, not a problem, we can do that, right? But then you mention to them there's this ADP test, they could fail the ADP test, right, in terms of deferrals. But if you don't mention top heavy, then they go off on their merry way in November and December. They dump in a bunch of money. The rank and file employees do not. They're top heavy. And then you have to come back to them in January, February and tell them exactly what they told you not to do, which is you got to dump in 45 grand or 15 grand or whatever it is. I mean, that's got to be the worst meeting that could happen to an advisor or vendor,
Or worse,
period.
like this was in October, right?
Well, yeah, they
Right
hadn't
before
got their
deadline, we
census
told
in.
them.
Well, yeah, they had been delayed. They have till
Yeah.
12/31 to actually make the deposit.
Right, I know, but if, 2 months out, you're told you get
and
$48,000.
yeah, we've worked in with advisors on some real creative designs this time of year where I'm getting very technical, but where we put a prior year testing in for first year, which allows the HCEs to put in 5%
Yeah.
for the first year, and then they're subject to ADP in future year. Well, if you think about that, if you're not planning to give a company contribution, even if you allow them to do the 5%, you can still be top heavy if nobody else participates.
Yeah.
So while we may be able to bypass the ADP with some creative testing, if you don't have a TPA that understands the stuff, or you don't have a bundled provider or a resource in there, it's a tough test to fail. I always tell folks, failing an ADP is not the end of the world. Failing a top heavy is gonna create some big waves.
So the moral of the story, or the buyer beware that we're trying to get out to our audience, is you need to understand the potential pitfalls of a top heavy. It's a big deal. You'd be surprised how often it gets overlooked when people are trying to slam in plans. And we surely don't want our advisors or our partners to have that meeting where you go back and let them know that you screwed up.
Let me add one thing too, creatively, especially for those watching. What we've been doing here this time of year is we're already past the opportunity to put in a 401k, so we often put in a profit sharing only plan this time of year. Mark and I sat with a great advisor yesterday, and I was teaching him that if there's no need for a 401k, it's a construction company, nobody else is going to participate. We're meeting Gateway, so all you have to do is give 5% to the staff and you can max out ownership. Why not leave it just a profit sharing only plan?
Right.
Because then we avoid any pitfalls of needing to process per pay period contributions, but also, even if you are top heavy, nobody can put in a contribution. So either you're funding profit sharing or you're not, and so that becomes less of an issue.
It brings up another pitfall. Moving a profit sharing to salary deferral. Adding a 401k to a profit sharing. That's a common mistake where they go, oh yeah, not a problem, let's add it. But if you don't look and determine whether they're top heavy or not, then you convert them to a top heavy 401k
Good
plan,
point.
and they're like, what did you do? So these are some of the things. I don't want to turn this into a sales ad or a pitch, but that's why we want to support our partners and help them make the right decisions, because there's lots of things that you need to watch out for.
Those watching this are partners, so it's okay to do that little pitch here and there. So.
Okay, not a problem.
And ASPA, according to you, ASPA's watching this now too.
ASPA, we're going to be at ASPA someday on the stage. Everyone reach out to ASPA via Twitter, email, and let them know that you want the Retireholics at their next conference. All right.
Hopefully they can afford our entry. They got to pay us to be there.
Oh, we do. I didn't know we did that. We have fees for that kind of stuff.
Right. Appearance fees.
We are going
Become
to
like
jump right into the famous Wheel of Ice. It'll be quick, down and dirty, but I want to state for the record that we've all agreed that if it does land on Justin, Chad, and JD, we will drink the Smirnoff Ice.
I'm
For
fine
the
with
show.
that.
With Mark, or does Mark get to watch us?
I like Mark losing every time.
We'll see. I think the Wheel of Ice, the Wheel of Ice, the Wheel of Ice. You can spin it in hand.
Determine that today, Chad.
We
Just
will
like
wait to
that
see.
wheel, it's a repetitive cycle.
We'll play it legit. We'll play
Only
it legit.
Justin can see it.
Whoever
so.
gets
I can
it.
barely- oh.
No,
Oh,
it
no.
did. No, it's not.
Oh.
It's on the other side. Well, it depends. Are you going off the arrow or the leather strip?
How about you
the
let me
arrow.
determine that, all right?
That is like right on the line, actually.
Hold on.
I say
We might need
respect.
another
Hold on.
spin.
Let me look
What?
first.
Everybody
Yeah.
drinks.
Let me
Respect.
Everybody drinks.
Everybody drinks.
We only have 4. Oh,
Yeah,
there's 4 of us.
There's
JD is trying to get
Holy
out.
cow.
I think that's fair.
I
Okay,
think it's.
bring 'em
I think
over.
this was a fix.
Bring 'em
Hand.
Take the wheel out. Let's
It's,
do it. Dang it.
Looks like a pretty honest spin.
No, I was gonna slap the hand away.
I'm not going to get on my knee like that.
You're kind
I
of
don't think there's room
required
for us all to do that, is there? Son of a gun.
It's a horrible idea.
Alyssa, I blame this on you.
I'm putting my knee on the couch.
Oh, son of a
Cheers,
gun.
ladies.
This is definitely going to need to get fast forwarded.
terrible.
Or do some editing that makes it look like I can pound a Smirnoff Ice, because I can't.
Ooh.
Are we allowed to burp on the show?
Don't have a choice. As we're doing that. He's still going.
Go,
He's still going.
You got it.
Oh gosh, Mark, that is not fun.
Oh,
I don't know how you do
Wel-
that every episode.
Welcome to my world.
I don't know how you do that every episode.
I'm like crying right now.
Hey, at least it's not the peach flavored one.
You know what I thought of when we were
sure.
doing that? I was sitting next to you guys, and we were pounding together, and I saw the clear bottle, and I thought of my father founding this company, and how far we've come.
Proud moment.
And I was like so proud.
Is that why you're crying?
As I like to articulate, it's not about us. It's about all those people doing all the great work back there. So
They're looking at us like we're a bunch of crazies.
Did we mention on our old
Except
show
for
that
Lance,
we
he's
were
plugged in.
interviewed at Broken Eggs Film.com?
I don't think we did.
So our audience should
Well,
take
because
note
that
of
happened after our last episode.
I don't know. So we were interviewed on another podcast. It's called BrokenEggsFilm.com.
Yeah.
I forget what episode we are. It's like 23 or don't
It's labeled
quote me on
with
that.
hashtag friendiversary. Right?
Friendiversary. But
Friendiversary
check
is
it out.
the
It was
title.
pretty cool.
It's a
thought-
retirement webcast.
And I thought
too,
you guys
so
did a
it's
good
all
job.
relevant.
Yeah, it was retirement plan. Webcast. Okay.
Wow.
So the next subject that I'd like to dive into is a common one in terms of the base of it. We're going to talk about target date funds. But we're gonna
Did
put
you know that I invented this?
Yes. Yes.
Do you know how I invented this?
Target date funds. Those are the funds that you have when you go to Target to buy dates.
You buy dates?
Yeah.
At Target.
I
He
buy
has bowel
dates at
problems.
Target. Yeah. Those are the funds I say by buying discounted dates at Target.
Discounted dates at Target.
Yeah, they're in aisle 16.
You're
in
the
case you're
inventor
wondering.
of TDF. We're not going to talk about
$3.99.
that kind of TDF, but we're going to talk about the real
Oh.
Target date fund.
Oh, well, I don't know what that is.
And we're going to put a spin on it, more on how we think our advisors could benefit from a strategy relating to target date funds. Okay, so let's build it out. You go into these point of sales. There's a lot of fund analytics. You know, comparing large cap value to large cap value, or passive funds to actively managed funds, and there's all kinds of conversation and reports that go around it. But the fact of the matter is that within our industry, we know, I'm going to make up a percentage here, but 70%
That's pretty damn close.
of plan assets go into
Good guess.
an asset allocation fund like a target date fund. So, we believe that the advisors that we partner with should be cognizant of that and should walk into a point of sale armed to tackle that subject, right? And be able to talk about things like glide paths and equity exposure and alternative asset classes within a target date, or is it index based or actively managed or a combination of the two. And I think it's centered, I don't know, I get your guys' feedback, but I think it centers a lot around, and to and through, sorry, leaving out to and through. Go in with that subject matter, telling a plan sponsor that if this is the most important asset class, let's make sure that we make a good decision around what target date fund to utilize. And not all target date funds are alike, right? We're learning that.
And
So
I think we all know I'm pretty darn passionate about this. I've been yelling to advisors for the last year about this topic. In my mind, avoiding this conversation, or at least not diving into it, is like constructing an NFL team and not paying any attention to who your quarterback's going to be.
yeah, it's
Because
a
we
key
know that the
position.
majority of the assets are going to flow into them. So why do we not put the time and the effort to discuss the options amongst the target dates? And I'll even take it a step further. I don't necessarily think you need to discuss to and through. You need to discuss the methodology behind those individual funds, or passive versus active within the target date suite. I think you just need to show that proper time has been put in to determine which suite is right for that client.
Well, and talk about the just talk about the basics of them and how they can really benefit the people who don't pay attention. I remember years before I started working here, when you were already here, and you kind of explained the whole concept when you were looking at my 401k. It was, I didn't know anything about it. A light bulb went off, and it's like, man, this is a great place to be, especially if you don't actively manage this stuff.
Oh, for sure. And you know, the bummer is that most of the participants and the plan sponsors, they think that it's just like a plug and play thing. Like, they don't think there's any difference. They did some interviews with them. They thought that it was guaranteed.
Oh,
They
yeah.
thought that it was safe. I mean, there's lots of...
There's a misconception about that.
For
You got to
sure.
find out what's under the hood. They're not created equal. They all have a different way of looking at what they're utilizing for the type of funds that they have in there. And secondary to that is, especially for advisors and who work with us, but partner with a DCIO who can come in and explain those analytics to
They'll
actually, to actually be there to give them that story behind them in more details that they could ever imagine that we can't necessarily provide.
More often than not, the target date suite that gets chosen is that of the provider that's being chosen, because they offer the target date suite as well. And I am not saying that's wrong, but what I'm saying is you need to be able to validate why that's the choice. You know, many of the proprietary target dates that belong to products are a multi-manager target date,
Right.
meaning that it's not just
Chalked with proprietary
That's
funds.
right. Many of them are sub-accounts, really. And so being able to have the conversation as to, you know, why we chose vendor X, which has this target date solution as the only target date solution and no other options, that's got to be a point of the conversation. So let me say this. I am very passionate about this. You guys have seen that over the last year. I've added new slides to some of the presentations that I'm doing. that focus in on a couple things. Revenue neutrality, that goes into the fact that we all spend time reviewing the core menu, yet we seem to just shove whatever target date
Right.
suite we can
Just
in
this
there,
little
and
donor.
there's no time or effort spent. So I go into revenue neutrality, I go into the fact that the target date funds should be, or asset allocation funds in general, it doesn't have to be target date, but the asset allocation funds should be the most scrutinized investment inside the plan, and that as an advisor, you should have some passion or some conviction about what you're using there, because that will differentiate you. If you and it connects back to what you always preach on, which is retirement readiness and engaging the
Yes.
employees and all these things. If we know money is going to go in there, and we talk about investing, and we
majority
can
of
bridge
money.
it,
Yeah.
and we can bridge it right into people actually achieving what they need to retirement because we have them in the right type of funds.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the retirement readiness. So there was two things I wanted to make sure that we covered in talking about this. One is I want you to understand, or our audience to understand, that comparing target date funds is a lot more complicated than comparing
goodness,
large cap
yes.
value funds. And so that's why it's been an issue, and I agree with you. You said usually they go through all their analytics. Is this a good fund? Is it a bad fund? Do we remove it? Do we replace it? And then you slide by TDFs, right? Because one, it was hard to get rankings on them. So I want to be clear to our audience that things are changing, right? So there are a lot of new analytics out there that are offered by DCIO, they're offered by different people that will help you compare target dates. It's still a more complicated conversation because it's hard to compare apples to oranges to pineapples, but those analytics are out there. And then the next bigger concept, you said retirement readiness. So I think that our advisors need to walk in armed, prepared, and confident to talk about the differences between target date funds, not only to win more business and to talk about something that maybe the guy or the girl before them didn't talk about, right? Because they went over the other stuff, and it's so important. But to also talk about the fact that if 70%, made up statistic,
Close, I'm telling you.
if 70% of the money's going in there, then these are Joe, Tom, and Mary's accounts. Don't we need to make sure that the methodology fits your demographic, and that we're trying to build these people's nest eggs for the future? This is the retirement readiness concept. Let's put some time, energy, and effort and make sure that the strategy fits.
Well, with statistics like that, why are more people not talking about it though? 60% of assets.
70.
70,
I think it's
whatever,
closer.
70,
Yeah.
I don't know. He said 60 on the way over here. Sorry.
I think the reason is number one, it's very difficult to really break down in terms of putting a side by side together.
Okay.
And some of the DCIO companies have done a great job bridging that gap. The other component is, and I'm just being brutally honest, many providers don't have multiple options. And so an advisor's going in with a belief in the service model and the provider that they're taking into the table, taking into the opportunity, and they know that if they spend too much time on that and the client says, well, I don't like that, they don't have a choice within
But
that.
tell me that
Makes
that's
sense.
changing a little bit.
It
I mean,
is. It is.
Most vendors have some
Most of the vendors
choice.
that only have one choice, it's a multiple manager target date suite of
Yeah,
sub
yeah.
accounts. So it's in its own kind of different breed. It's interesting that, Justin, you asked that question because I literally have been preaching this for a while now, and I have not seen too many people adopt it. Those that have are killing it because it is a completely different story than what many of their peers are coming and doing. They're saying that we're going to spend time focusing on where we need to focus, which is, yeah, Chad and his team, they'll do a great job getting the right amount of participation in the assets in based upon design, but when those assets hit the plan, where are they going to be invested?
Right.
And that's where we got to spend our time and our effort focusing from an investment perspective. And so it just blows my mind that more people aren't spending time on it.
Right.
So, if you are a financial advisor, a retirement plan financial advisor, and you want to take advice from four guys in Christmas sweaters that drink beer, we would highly suggest that you build up your TDF game, right?
So, what has always been one of the big points that we bring to advisors in terms of this team right here, which is we sit in 100 point of sales plus a year.
We've been there, done that.
We test these things, and I'm telling you, it's working. That's why I added slides to some of the conversations that I'm having with these advisors, because it is impactful.
Well, of course it works, because didn't we just say that plan sponsors and participants don't understand that target date funds are different? So if you're a consumer and someone walks into your office and starts to unearth that myth for you, show you that, hey, let me show you under the hood, the way these things are built are different, one from the other, and I want to lead you down the path to find the right one. You're in, right? I mean, you're starting to go, geez, yeah, you're right. I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. So,
And the secondary component I would like to add, obviously, is the education to the participants about those particular funds, because they're based upon your targeted date, right, for what age you'll be in retirement from now. But that doesn't necessarily mean you have to invest in that particular fund based upon how those funds are set up. Maybe you need to be on the earlier side or the later side if they're to or through the different approaches. So just as long as that education is getting the people who are actually putting their money into it.
yeah.
And especially a lot of people use them as defaults now too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those people who put their money in don't care to do anything with it. It's not sitting in cash like some antiquated plans we've seen in the past. It's going into these funds. So they're prudently selected for a reason.
Yeah, we're just saying make that part of your arsenal for sure. I think that's good. I think that's solid. We're so serious. We're here in our fun sweaters and drinking beer. I want to
Just take a selfie.
I'm here for the eggnog.
add a little more kind of fun to this. So I'm going to improv. Isn't something that we kind of had on the script, but let's talk about business fashion, Chad. Let's talk about suits and ties and belts and shoes.
We had this
You're probably the wrong
conversation
guy to talk about
yesterday,
suits and ties.
actually.
And one thing in particular I want to talk about is skinny suits. Like, so
Oh,
the old
gosh.
school suits were a little boxy, a little big,
baggy.
and so I want to know, what's your take on wearing a lean, trim, skinny suit? And the reason why I bring this up, I'm not even asking for Chad's opinion. I just want to let you guys know and our audience know that I once asked Chad, like, dude, are you getting any of those skinny suits? And he said to me, I can't wear the skinny suits. And I said, why? He's so fit. He's like, my calves are too big.
Let's see it.
I knew. I knew the moment you said that's where this was going. But it's the truth. I can't fit in skinny suits because my calves don't fit. So I apologize for that.
If you're an
Hey.
advisor and you don't have fat calves,
Okay,
can
but-
I call them fat calves? Or is that bad? No, they're muscular.
You
Yeah.
can call them fat. I'm fine with that.
And you don't have
Girthy
fat calves.
calves.
Would you recommend that when selling target date funds
No.
that they wear skinny suits?
No.
You're over it.
You need a suit that fits you properly. It doesn't have to be a skinny
Yeah,
suit.
let's face it, lean and trim doesn't exactly work on me.
No, you're not a skinny suit fan either. I've been abandoning the suit altogether, so.
Except for when we do Retireholics, of course. You got the pants on.
Yeah, why are you wearing nice
Slacks
pants today?
on.
And I see
If-
more
listen,
people
let me
wearing
explain
brown
that. Let me
shoes.
explain
Watch
that.
it
No,
from
we're going
Episode
around.
1 to episode 7, you've gradually gotten more
So,
professional.
do you want to know why?
What?
No.
So, when your hair and your beard grow longer and you start to appear more like a homeless person, you need to offset that by wearing some nice clothes.
I
once in
would
a while.
argue with the popularity of beards nowadays, though, you actually don't really need to. People see your beard and they're like, that's a very powerful man.
I don't know. Chad wants me to cover a meeting for him next week on some $11 million prospect.
And every time
I'm
I
not
bring up
shaving my
something,
beard,
that's
so-
exactly what he says. Every time I say, hey, I've got this, it's overlapping, I really want to help this advisor, he goes, I'm not shaving my beard. I don't want you to shave
That's
it.
where my priorities fall. He's got $11 million prospect. I'm like,
Because you
I'm
can
not
come in
going.
and say, I'm the CEO. And they're like, oh, okay, you're good.
oh, of course, yeah, great. We would love to hire you guys if your CEO looks like a homeless person. Like, we're in. Jeez, go. We don't even need your presentation.
Would you ever consider like trimming it at all, or not at all?
No, because my daughter says this all the time. And by the way, my daughter made this sweater for me.
Which daughter?
Gabby, sorry, Mackenzie. Gabby made this sweater, and it's on fleek for sure. That's
Oh,
her.
gosh.
We used that in previous episode, but she.
I still don't get that at all.
She said, what were we just talking about? Oh, trimming it.
Yeah.
She said, Dad, you should trim it. I said, no, that's not the look I'm going for. I don't want to have a trimmed professional beard. I want to have a rugged surfer, out of control beard.
Can I tell the Red Solo Cup story real quick?
I don't even know what it is.
The Red
so-
Solo Cup on the surf trip?
Yes, please. Oh, the.
We go on a surf trip. JD's got a full beard. We're driving down the coast surfing different breaks, and we get done with our second session of the day. We're exhausted. I forget where we were. It was
You have
beach
to
break,
tell the
right?
audience, so the rule in the surf trip is that you can't shower or wash your hair.
Period. Can't shower, can't wash, can't
Which
do
is
anything.
easy.
That's
when
why Justin
not a
can't
problem
go.
when you have no
I
hair.
just don't go.
By the time it's day 3 and you haven't showered or washed and you have a big beard and you get done surfing and your skin's bright red and you're laying in shorts on the beach and you get done drinking a beer and you fall asleep by the boardwalk with a red Solo cup in your hand in the sun, people come put money in your cup. So JD, the CEO of Plan Design Consultants, is getting change as a transient laying on the
One
beer.
time.
Did you
sleeping.
put that money into a TDF?
No. One time.
You're
one
missing
time.
out.
All right. Well, let's wrap the show.
Hey, real quick,
Yeah,
you
shoot.
guys made a World Series prediction.
Oh, we
Previously,
did. Did anyone win or lose?
Yeah.
You 3 were all correct.
In the winter, but who cares about that?
The loser was Mark, and we had sort of a loose bet that if he lost, he would put a 9-volt battery to his
That's right, I
tongue.
remember that.
We're gonna keep
What
this
was-
dangerous.
Yes,
have
we
a
did.
show?
I thought I said I wasn't going to do that.
Do it. Justin, where's
Does
the taser?
anything
I'll
happen
taser
when
him
you
all.
No,
do that?
I'll do this
They
then.
do it or you get
No.
tased.
Okay. Stop.
Was
It's
was
a
something
9-volt
happen?
battery.
I just real
He
quick.
lost.
No, you gotta-
And
hey,
Brandon chimed in on that.
3 seconds? 5 seconds?
Just,
No,
do,
just
it.
do it. Just do it.
I used to do
2
that when I was a
seconds.
kid. It's not bad. I turned out okay. Did you even do it?
Yes!
Okay. So
All right,
we know who the winner was in terms of the game. I think you
I
were.
said 6, right?
Did you say 6 or 5? I think you
Can't
hit
remember.
it. I think you hit
So
it.
you want to
Anyways.
do Super Bowl predictions?
No,
since-
not yet.
Okay.
We
yeah, let's
we
do
want to
it.
know when it gets a little closer. to
We're
the
hitting up.
playoffs.
Well, we
Well,
will
gonna
be
do another
back
show before
Yes.
Super Bowl?
Yeah.
right around
We'll
then.
do a Super Bowl
We'll
show.
be back in January for episode 8 of the year. I want to remind everyone, you social media. Go to retireholics.com. You can click on all our social media. There's nothing more fun than watching or checking out Instagram with beer and retirement plan stuff, right? I mean,
Word.
that's cool. Let us know if you got some subjects for 2016 you want us to cover. And
Happy New Year.
everyone says we don't have a wrap. Happy holidays. Hope you have a good holiday. Hopefully we'll get this out quick. But everyone says we don't have a good wrap. But I continue to say that Mark is our wrap.
It is.
Yeah.
And
Don't.
last time was
forget
the
to
funniest
stay
for me.
tuned.
If you haven't seen episode 6 with the it's a repetitive cycle. I mean, that's my funniest one.
It's a-
Although when I
I
look
think
at
my
that,
favorite one when he's filling the coffee cup up with beer and he goes, "They think I have coffee in here."
yeah, I was gonna. But the last one, I think he was drunk.
That was on purpose.
He's got a
though.
lisp.
Yeah, he had a kind of a.
He does
drunk
not
flow.
have a lisp.
So
It's not my proudest moment, but I take one for the team.
thanks for tuning in. Keep rocking your advisor game out there. Our strategic partners, keep doing what you do, and we'll bring some great stuff to you in 2016. Retireholics out.
Retireholics out of 15.
Cheers. Cheers, fellas. Like these bugs.
Do you want to win more 401k business? As 401k Santa Claus, you have to come talk to me. Sit on my lap. Let's discuss. That doesn't scare me. I'm Santa. I'm like immortal. Sit on my lap in a non-creepy way. Tell me to my ear how many plans you'd like to sell. And we'll get it done. My elves, Chad, JD, and Justin, they work year round. I work one night a week.